Oakland. I've been keeping my foot on Oakland's neck for a long time out here in these streets. Oakland, I know Shang Tsung because, man, you listen, you know these politicians is paying attention. You know they be watching and seeing what's happening out in these streets. Oakland. I've been having my foot on Oakland's neck for a long time. Shout out to Shang Tao. Shout out to Shang Tao. What up, Quentin in the building? My guy, I appreciate you, big dog. So, I predict that Oakland will be the next major city to file for bankruptcy. I predict that Oakland will be the next major city to file for bankruptcy, insolvent, cannot pay their bills, will 100% be ran into the ground. I predict it. If you are in Oakland and you can get out, run. Actually, you know what? Stay there because y'all voted for this. This is how y'all made y'all community. I think that y'all deserve this, but let's get into it.
The city of Oakland has some very painful decisions to make as it faces a $200 million fiscal cliff. The city's embattled mayor outlined her plan for filling that gap earlier this month, all while vowing to prevent cuts to public safety and critical services.
Now the city council is being told that it may need to cut an additional $63 million. NBC Bay Area's Vilena Jones is live from the East Bay with the problem and the options in solving it. And the problems just seem to be cascading in Oakland.
Right, Jessica. So the city will be balancing all of these options and tackling those options Friday at a special budget council meeting. But until then,
I wonder if that's going to be live stream. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I might have to live stream that budget council meeting.
Balancing this budget may come with brutal cuts. Just days from the city's deadline to balance the budget, council members are now preparing to discuss new problems and new solutions for the city's nearly $200 million fiscal cliff.
While our deficit is significant, our commitment to our communities, our small businesses, our residents here in Oakland is strong.
In a social media post, Council President Nikki Fortunato-Bass laid out two options for balancing the city's budget. One option involves the mayor's original proposed budget with amendments. That proposal aims to protect public safety and critical services from being cut. However, it would also include details of additional cuts if the city can't finalize the sale of its portion of the Coliseum by September 30th.
That allows us to be fiscally responsible. Secondly, option number two, that budget does not assume money from this Coliseum land sale.
So let me tell you what the sentiment is in Oakland, right? They got one budget that the mayor, Shang Tao, right before she got raided, put together. And that budget is very, very much dependent on the sale of the Coliseum. The people that are trying to purchase the Coliseum, if I remember correctly, is some African-American group that is looking to develop it in order to make sure that they bring diversity, equity, and inclusion and show that black people can eventually own a stadium too. Why would you even buy or purchase the Oakland A's former stadium when the Oakland A's didn't even want to stay there? Because it was so decrepit and it was falling apart, but you know, they trying to secure the financing and they trying to figure out how they going to pay for it and they trying to pay for it in installments. You know how we do. We do afterpay even on the stadiums, right? We do afterpay. As long as we can say that we own a portion of it or we own it, we're going to do afterpay on the stadium, right? But some kind of African-American investment group is looking to come in and purchase the A's. And so the mayor is dependent on this windfall of money in order to plug holes one time in the budget. The problem with that is that it is a one-time payment, even if it was to go through. So first of all, you can't depend on it. Secondly, they're still negotiating it. Third, the deadline for them to be able to secure the budget is by July 1st, which is literally days away. And then fourth, it's a one-time shot in the arm, but it doesn't solve for the long-term solvency of what you're supposed to be doing from a budgetary perspective. You still don't have enough money for the police. You still don't have enough tax revenue coming in. You still have crime that's rising. You still have payments that's coming due from all of the borrowed money. Your credit rating as a city is continuing to go down. And so you still going to face if everything was to go right? If everything goes right, 100%. And let's say you get the stadium sold, everything comes in, budget goes through. Guess what? You still facing the same problem next year. And it's going to be exponentially worse. You're still going to face the same problem, and it's going to be 10 times worse than next year. She submitted a budget. The finance department and other people are saying, okay, we're going to do an amended budget based off of y'all not being able to sell the stadium. And then that's when things really get scary. When you start to remove the veil and you start to really start looking at the numbers, it's kind of like our budgets, like regular everyday people, except is much, much larger, right? When we start looking at our budget, because most of us don't operate off of a budget, we just get our paycheck, we got it in our head, we're going to pay stuff off. But if you start looking at the numbers of how you spend your money, it'll be ugly. Shout out to Bubba Sparks. Bubba Sparks. It would be ugly. If you went and you broke down your budget, okay, I'm spending this on food, this is how much I got to pay for this, and you start looking at how many payments you paying, and you start looking at the interest and all of the statements that you get on a daily basis from your mortgage, from your car note, from your insurance, from all of that stuff, man, it would be a reality. But you need that because sometimes you have to take 2 steps back in order to take 10 steps forward. In order to solve for what's going on in your budget, the same way that we're looking at with the city, police still ain't gonna be funded. They can't get no people in the academy. Homelessness is running rampant. Then they start dealing with and depending on Big Brother, which is the state of California, which they are having problems trying to fill their budget deficit. But except for it gets much worse up there. So instead of dealing with a $200 million cliff that you're facing, now you're dealing with a $65 billion cliff with the state of California. And it's a death loop. It's a doom loop. Eventually, there's going to be no more people to squeeze. All of the rich people are going to leave. All of their teams left. The Oakland Raiders left. The Athletics are about to go to Vegas. Vegas is getting all of the teams. And everybody is just going to completely run out of the whole city.
So that budget is more dramatic in terms of the reductions.
The second option leaves out any funds for a Coliseum sale. Instead, it calls for $63 million in additional cuts. Those cuts would impact several city departments, including parks, libraries, and OPD staffing, including
Oakland Police headquarters is already closed. It seriously looked like Gotham. Have y'all seen Oakland Police? The Oakland Police, not the headquarters, but have y'all seen the Oakland Police precincts and what they look like? Let me see if I can pull it up for y'all. Let's see if I can pull it up. I did a YouTube video. I don't know if I can find a picture of it. Let me go ahead and play it. I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to try to pull it up.
In freezing police academies. Those are cuts the police union says would be downright dangerous.
Without incoming academy, there's no way that we can fulfill the staffing that need to patrol the street of Oakland and make it very dangerous and unsafe for the citizen of this city.
Several fire stations would also be browned out. A potential cut, Oakland's firefighter union explains, would be catastrophic.
We're at a tipping point where we're almost unable to meet the volume of work we have with our current resources. And should we start closing firehouses or reduce our resources by any amount, that would be catastrophic for the safety of the citizens of Oakland and also for our members.
In a meeting tonight, as council looks to move forward with the sale of the Coliseum, Ray Bobbitt, co-founder of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, says they remain committed to redeveloping the area.
There's an opportunity for us to create jobs, to create something new, to create opportunity for the most impacted communities in our city. And so we're very much supportive of it and hope that you will vote for it.
And as the city tries to figure out how to keep from falling off a financial cliff, critics are increasingly calling for change.
And the public has to endure significant, drastic cuts to public safety. Yet again, how are they representing us?
Let me pivot for a second and let me give it to y'all from another angle.
In the meantime, a special city council meeting is happening now in Oakland, all in the middle of all the chaos.
Hey, remember when y'all wanted to defund the police? Well, now you ain't got no choice.
Surrounding the federal raid on the mayor's home, city leaders are also racing to address a budget crisis.
Yeah, it's been nearly 1 week since the FBI's search of Mayor Sheng Tao's home threw the city into turmoil. The mayor, meanwhile, back in public today. We spotted her at the MTC Commission meeting in San Francisco this morning. She left that meeting early, and an aide came to retrieve her things.
And the city council needs to pass the mayor's budget proposal by the end of the week. It relies on the sale of the city's half of the Coliseum site, all to avoid major job cuts and service reductions. But the council is now working on a backup plan in case that all falls through. Wilson Walker explains that could mean some painful choices.
Everybody gonna take a haircut. Y'all gonna still have to pay taxes. You ain't gonna have no police
I also
presence,
want to make it very
nothing.
clear that the item in front of us is about the purchase and sale agreement for this project.
How is this not being covered by almost every single financial blogger or anybody that's paying attention to politics that's on a local level? How did we cover so much of Tiffany Hinyard, but we not spending every single day covering and paying attention to what's going on over in Oakland? We're witnessing history being made again. We're witnessing history being made. Police is raiding, FBI all up in there. All of their teams left their city. Can't get no recruits. Can't put no fires out. At night, it looked like a zombie apocalypse. The mayor is in a pay for play. The chief of staff is snitching on the mayor. Her counsel that's being paid by the taxpayers quit. Communications director walking out the door. $200 million budget shortfall. In the 11th hour, they trying to figure out what's going on. They are literally about to bankrupt the entire city, and it's going to be left up to its own devices. It's probably going to be policed by the state police, and we are not really paying attention. We are distracted by abortion and transgender Miss Maryland. How is this not something that's at the forefront? Why is this not going to be introduced into the debate tonight? Listen, if I was the moderator and I was setting up the questions, this would be a part of the debate tonight. This would absolutely be a part of the debate tonight. How can a major city like Oakland completely collapse on itself? Is this not foreshadowing of what's to come for much bigger cities? How is this not being highlighted on Fox News and all across the board? Why is this only local news over in the Bay Area?
For future economic development at the Coliseum. Our budget item is a separate item that we will discuss on Friday.
This was not the official budget discussion, but it certainly involved a big piece of it. Without the Coliseum land sale, city officials are now considering an alternative budget contingency that would declare a kind of financial emergency, cutting some $60 million, freezing 78 police positions and 5 fire companies.
So basically, it's almost impossible for a city council to support those things. But I suppose if the Coliseum deal isn't real or falls through, I don't know what choices they have.
Former city manager Dan Lindheim says the real budget problems are systemic, namely a reliance on parcel transfer taxes, and the one-time relief of the Coliseum sale is a kind of Band-Aid.
And I don't begrudge using the Coliseum money if it's part of a plan to buy time and we're going to do X, Y, and Z moving forward. But if you're just going to balance the budget by selling the Coliseum and not do anything else, then you're just kicking the can down the road a year.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Kmart and Sears. A lot of y'all are too young to remember. But the first thing that I would do every single morning when I went to work, because I was working in a steel mill, the first thing that I would do every single morning, and I would buy 2 papers. I would buy the Wall Street Journal. Yep, because they had that actually, I would buy 3 papers. I would buy USA Today because I wanted to know what was going on internationally. And I would buy the Wall Street Journal, and then I would buy the Detroit Free Press at the time. I would either buy the Detroit Free Press or the Detroit News. Both of them kind of reported on the same thing. And the first thing that I turned to was the business section. Then I read sports and I read general news. And this is why I was so gung-ho about eventually creating a news channel that highlighted what was going on across America and then get my opinion on it, because I had so many thoughts back then, but I couldn't express it because I didn't have a platform in order to do so. And then I had to build up the platform. Eventually we created Millionaire Morning Show from After Hours, and then After Hours went over to another channel. You know the whole spiel, right? But it reminds me of Sears and Kmart because I remember the stock would have an upswing or uptick because they had a great quarter. But then when you started to dig deep into exactly how they generated so much revenue, it wasn't that they were selling more products. It didn't mean that the Kmart headquarters wasn't going to eventually close. It didn't mean that they was actually doing well as a company. They were still getting a lunch taken by all of the other retailers such as Walmart. Walmart was about to put them out of business. Amazon was coming. Myers over here in the Midwest was absolutely destroying and taking a lunch, but they would do a sale of like a property or something. So it would be a one-time jolt into it, right? Or they mortgage the headquarters or something stupid, right? It would be something completely unrelated to the business itself. You do not solve the problem by a one-time hit. One-time windfalls don't solve for the issue. Even them selling the Coliseum cannot save them. You just eventually staving off the inevitable. You pushing away the inevitable. A one-time windfall cannot solve for the budgetary problems and the issues that's happening within that city. And it's the same thing with companies that's eventually dying. You can get it a jolt. You can take advantage of it and get rich off of it, sell it to some sucker. But eventually, it's all going the same way.
And then you're in a real disaster a year from now.
By way of a purchase and sale agreement with a purchase price of $105 million, with at least $60 million received in this next fiscal year.
City staff said these sale negotiations are continuing every single day, but there's no timetable and there are more questions about how the payments would be delivered.
And so what I'd like to know, based on what we've heard, is that, on the first...
Before you remove any police officers, I think that they need to make every city council position voluntary, give them a stipend, and then make sure that they reduce their pay. City council members, the mayor, all of them, I think that you need to reduce them. Before anybody else take a haircut, make everybody that is in federal government or in local government, because for some reason, everybody still make their money when they're in local government, but everybody else got to take a haircut. It got to start at the top when you taking a haircut.
Escrow deposit, you're only going to get XYZ. On the second one, you get this amount. On the third one, you get that amount.
There may be multiple payments that satisfy the 60 or more, but that's all subject to negotiation. That is ongoing right now, and the ordinance delegates to the city administrator the ability to get to those fine point
Everybody
details.
that is in the Patreon, that is on a tier, you have to be on a tier. Everybody that is on a tier have access to Sock Club, okay?
Members of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group were on hand, but they too offered no time frame for a deal.
There's an opportunity for us to create jobs, to create something new, to create opportunity for the most impacted communities in our city. And so
the African American Sports and Entertainment Group. Boy, if we ever got a white sports and entertainment group, y'all will be up in arms. The Caucasian sports and entertainment group, y'all will be so pissed off. That ain't nothing but reverse racism.
So we're very much supportive of it and hope that you will vote for it.
I asked Ray Bobbitt directly whether or not they would get this deal worked out in time for Oakland to know what it means for the budget. He said he did not have an answer for that, and any other questions he just couldn't talk about because of the negotiations. City budget's supposed to be done by Friday, but City Council discussed giving itself an additional 5 possible days to work things out. The city says it needs the first $15 million to stave off those budget cuts by the 1st of September. Whether or not that is going to happen, that is now anyone's guess.
This is bad. It's bad. And they keep telling us that the economy is doing well and everything is doing well, but I'm looking at the other signs and I'm saying, maybe not so much. Maybe it's not as well as they think that it is. Anyways, let me go.